Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And the camera's not working. So let's first thing was go in and fix the camera. As always. Oh my gosh, webcam. I wish I knew. Hello. I wish I knew what caused that. It just randomly doesn't work or works. It's like, okay, whatever. Anyways, it's Friday. We've had a really good win streak this week. I think we've been profitable every day. I have like 8 trades, winners in a row. So I'm actually a little bit cautious because Friday is the day that I have the hardest time with. I very often I'll have a good week and then blow it all on Friday. So let's see what we got for today. Do we have any significant news today? That's the first thing that I want to check here. Okay, so we do have a few numbers at 8 o'clock. We have preliminary U of M consumer sentiment, CB leading index, and inflation expectations. Those aren't huge movers, but they do matter, especially for us in Treasuries with the inflation expectations. That's a number that people do pay attention to. Okay. And just looking here in chat, I see that Uzi got firsties honors. Hello, Ron and Cody. Thank you for joining us today. And Cody says, finally, the pullback. I'm assuming he's talking about in Treasuries, or maybe he's talking about in Bitcoin. Oh, well, we'll get into that in a bit. Oh, you can see here. So we're on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trade win streak. I don't know. It's Friday. I really suck on Friday, guys. It might be broken. I'm gonna be super cautious because I've been in this situation before, and I remember exactly what I did and why I screwed it up and all that. Friday can just be like really bad action. ACO says BTC. Okay, so hold on. So let's look at the charts here. So, yesterday we had a really big fall down in the Treasuries. And you've been trading live this week. Yes, I have. I have that filtered to only show the live account. In fact, I think all the trades that I took were live. But unless the volatility continues, I'm probably going to switch back to the sim. Anyways, so we had a really big move down in Treasuries yesterday. And remember I was saying, this seems like this is based largely off of Walmart. And I'm not so sure that that's going to hold. And sure enough, we've moved up overnight, and it hasn't been on a whole lot. Like, I don't see a ton of big news out there, at least not on CNBC. So there's that for starters. The E-mini has come down a little bit and retraced most of yesterday's gains. So we could have an update. I suspect another thing I want to highlight is I have a news story. I posted it in the Discord channel, but there was a news story pointing out that China sold about $67 million worth of treasuries over the past year. I did a little bit of analysis on that. Actually, here, how do I open original here? If we come back over here to my main chart now. I know this is like a big, huge mess, but this is the monthly changes in holdings by the major holders, the major countries. This black line right here. I know it's like super confusing, but I got you, bro. So like this line right here. Oh, I need a bigger line. Okay, this right here, I'm highlighting, that's China. Okay. This other one, this light one right here is France. Notice how they bought and then sold and then bought. That's a little suspicious, but and I forget. Oh no, this one that's really low right here is Ireland. So anyways, it seems that China was reducing their holdings, but as Donald Trump had pointed out, and it appears to be happening, China is going to need to devalue their currency, and the way that they do that is by buying treasuries. So they sold last year. Now they may load up, and that may be part of what is pushing us up. So I think that we may continue to see a small buying trend. They seem to be really good at only catching it on the edges. So we got to be careful about that. But that's where I think that we could continue to move up. So that's kind of my bias is we could move up, but we have to be very careful because it's Friday and there's going to be a lot of tricks played on us. And since there's not a whole lot of news until 8 o'clock, we may see really rangy action and we may just stay out. Right? Now, Bitcoin. That's what you're waiting for, right? Bitcoin. So here is the futures. I maybe I have too big of a volume bars here, but you know, it's okay. So I want to point out what I was saying to you guys the other day. Here you had a move up to the 8K. There was a little bit of a gap, but you can see that on this move up, it followed the cumulative delta. And there was about 600 contracts long in the Bitcoin futures. Now, the Bitcoin futures haven't been playing as big of a role because my understanding is they're still going away. But they've done that. Now, from here, we basically moved flat. But what did the Bitcoin futures do? They sold. They did sell, and you can see here that they equalized. And so everybody took their profits up here. So all of you suckers that have been buying up above 8K just gave all of the whales their exit and they bailed. And now what is happening? Big old sell. Pretty big sell. So a lot of people were saying, oh, people are going into Bitcoin to hedge themselves against global risk. Yeah. You're going to hedge yourself against global risk in something that moves 10% in one night? You're insane. Dumb theory, in my opinion. But I digress. Moved down. I'm actually surprised that they moved as fast as they did. I said that it was going to be fast, but I thought that maybe we were going to tepidly touch 7,500, bounce back up a bit, yada 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 yada. This time they just went for it, and they actually broke a couple of other significant levels as well, kind of touching down here to 6,400. Now from here, there might be a little bit of a pullback, but I think that you're going to find that it is going to be very, very difficult for them to get above 8K. And all of you guys that are saying that this is a pullback, buying down in here, are just going to be fuel for the fire because nobody else is following you. And they're going to come and they're just going to flood you. Probably. It could take a while here. We could come back up and everything, but there probably will be a very, very slow squeeze. And the indicator just says that the last print that I got was 190, which is way crazy high. So I'm warning you. I'm not an investment advisor. You should follow your own strategy. My strategy says you should not be in Bitcoin right now. And that's all I can say about it, I guess. All right. So what do we got? Now that I've done that whole spill here, I don't see any additional comments here. Let's just make sure I got everything cool here. Oh, there are a few video comments. This person, Biden, offers absolutely nothing of value telling me what policy he brings to the table. At the end of the day, that's what truly matters. If he were to challenge Trump, he would lose. Ooh.
Bernie.
I think that this guy has a very good argument that I am excited to respond to. No reason to elect Republican light when you have the real thing already in office. Well, I'll tell you what Joe Biden brings to the table. He's not crazy. Anyways, I don't mean to offend anybody that's like really far left or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain the why the voters are behaving the way that they do, and the reason that they are is because the public thinks that the other candidates are too far left, and they think that they're crazy, and they're concerned about what they might do. Okay, so we're ranging around here, 23 half 23 up quite a bit. I think that it would be totally okay to buy 23 half or 23. We did touch 22 half a few times, so I think that it would be worth it to go for 23. But the deltas have been down for quite some time, and there hasn't been any real significant impulse since the open. We're just ranging. That gives our probability not a very high probability. So I think that until I actually see something interesting happen, we should just hold off. But just keep in mind that 23 might be a spot. And how much? So I am trying to like record the whole thing to disk today, and I wonder how much is that going to end up taking now. Okay, so we've been going for about 10 minutes, and it's almost a quarter of a gig. Well, I have 100 gigs free, so I think that I could probably. Mm, so if we say that it's 2 gigabytes per hour, maybe 20 gigabytes a week, maybe, and then I delete them at the end of the week after I do like a weekly highlight video. I think we can do that. I think it'll work. I think it'll work, and then I can always buy like a. I can always buy a bigger hard drive. Okay, so there they took 23, so you would get filled. That 22 half is solid. Hmm. The 5 year though is looking like they're gonna take another step. So there's the opportunity. I'm not sure I want to take it. Another thing that bothers me is that they're stacking some size. They're showing some size at 24, which is well beyond. Well, it was the last kind of last move up that we had. It stopped at 24, but that they're stacking on top of them, and then there's a bunch of size up above it, and it appears that some size is actually increased up there. And we're range bound. That might be an indication that they could move a little bit lower. So probably there are people leaning here, and it might be worth it for the market maker to stop them out. I'm just not very sure, so I'm just gonna kind of hold off. I'm just gonna hold off. And it has been a very slow start today. As active as the markets have been this week, this is like incredibly slow start. Sure enough, they took it. And there was a few stops too. Some people immediately hit into it, but look, 22 is pulling. And they hit 22 as well. Now, some of the size at 24 actually pulled a little bit, so I think that was some stops getting canceled, or sorry, some profit taking getting canceled. The equity indexes are moving up as this happens. That's very curious. White House confirms Trump is delaying decision on auto tariffs by up to 6 months. It's a statement. If no trade deals are reached within 180 days, he could decide whether further action, including tariffs, are appropriate. Okay. President Trump will agree with Commerce report that some vehicle and part imports have weakened the U.S. economy and threaten to impair national security. The market appears to be reading this as a positive, that it's not exactly positive. But I'm not seeing like a huge spike like that there's news. It's just kind of like, I think that some people were getting stopped out there. Okay, so there was a pretty aggressive stack at 0.5. That then pulled. That makes me nervous. I'm tempted to buy 21. It may be turning here. But we just had a decent amount of trend come down. I'm not so sure that we want to fight this yet. Let's just wait. I think that a lot of retail guys got screwed in that move. I feel bad. It feels bad, man. Okay, so they did absorb a lot at 21. 21 is giving me a bit of a signal. But the context to me is a little sketch. Congratulations, you've received 100 messages with Restream Chat. Why does it say that? We've received more than 100 messages before. I think it gave us 1,000 one time. They must have reset the counter. Uzi says, I'm going to wait for ZB to retest 149.26. Okay. Well, let's go and check our email here. Maybe John has a good... maybe John has something in here that would be helpful. Oh, I don't see his notes yet. This 21, there was an iceberg, but they've traded too many times across it. We could go lower. That's not... So what I'm looking for is a spot that holds, right? If they're trading back and forth across the 21 a ton, then that's not holding, that's actually a balanced area. If that's a balanced area and we're at the top of this range, it would not be unreasonable to see 16. Tons of YouTube notifications yesterday. Our channel is growing. I want to give you guys an extra thank for those of you guys that have been commenting on videos. It's made a big difference, and it's been a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, there you go. 21. We're now down almost. Well, we took one tick, it looks like they could clear 200 as well. Sorry, 20 as well. And there's some absorption here at 20 half. That could be a reload signal. It's kind of, that one's kind of a 50-50 for me. It looks like they took him out though. Let's see what they do from here. The E-mini moving up too much. That could continue, and that would make any kind of a mean reversion trade here in the Treasuries a really bad idea, I think. Jigsaw trading well, still employed. Group therapy, 3 trade videos. Ooh. I have to go check that out and watch that today. Italy Deputy Prime Minister changing EU rules doesn't mean leaving EU. Will direct Lighthizer to lead negotiations on EU auto. I see. Well, the market seems positive about the trade with Europe, but I'm a little, I don't know. Well, we're back in 21 is doing its thing again. They actually pulled at 21.5. Actually, it's kind of interesting given the congestion that we had down here that they took up so easily is a little suspicious. Probably overthinking this. I probably should just put a limit order in at 21, right? Nope, it's too rangy. Tag yourself, monsters. It's one of those lawful good, chaotic evil sort of things. About how you read books. Chaotic evil rips out each page once it's been read. Okay. Well, that is clearly some highbrow humor that is above my head. Not giving me 21. They're trading back and forth at 21.5 a lot, though. We appear to have created one of them nasty little ranges, but the 5-year is whipping back hard. Well, they're traded 057 at least. If they continue to go up, like if this 06 goes weak, the 5-year might whip back hard. For the moment, though, it appears still stuck. Somebody's selling the 30. Interesting, they hit 21.5 and it's stacked, even though it was only 400 orders. Shanghai Stock Exchange index dropped 2.48% Friday due to worry of overall escalation of trade war, but Huawei related stocks soared. This is a vote of confidence of the market on Huawei's long prepared backup plan. Huawei's US supplies will become real victims. And this is Hu Zhijin. Is that a Chinese media outlet? Zero Hedge saying the market commentary brought to you by the panicking Communist Party. It is interesting that they put that out because I really don't see how you can possibly take anything positive out of the decision that the United States made on Huawei, basically banning their equipment, saying that it's not safe to use because the Chinese government can spy on you. That is like Baghdad Bob levels of propaganda right there. They can make 21 go offer. It seems to be holding it, at least. Probably if they do clear it, there's probably an iceberg there now at this point. Just because we've traded 1,000 and now there's 1,500 on it again. For them to go through it, there's going to be people are going to look to catch it. Something interesting happening here in the 30-year, I'm noticing. There is a pretty good stack at 27. I don't know, Uzi. It looks to me like they don't want it to touch your 26. And now the 21 is stacking up. And we're zippering around 21.5. Huawei bonds down 4%. Ugh. Oh, I didn't know that Mohammed Al Rain tweeted. I'm going to go add him. Do I have him already? Where's the add button? Follow. There we go. I think he's wrong about everything, but I still want to follow him. Because he says it does look that way. They're stacking on his price and they're pushing it up, and it's like they knew exactly where he was going to go for it, and they're trying to yank it away from us. You ever watch that webinar? It's it's the guy that had the footprint charts. He talks about the baby birds, and he's like, when it comes back, there's all the baby birds there. They want mama to feed them. They're looking to get filled, and then the hawk comes and kills mama, and they don't get filled. Good morning, Lucas. Financial Times is saying European stocks fall as rhetoric on trade darkens, but the E-minis have been trading up. Okay. I can see ES appears to be turning. I don't know if I'm going to get filled. You've done good, Seth? Oh, yeah. You know, I should probably turn that off so that we're only showing today. Okay, we haven't taken any trades today. I'm trying to be extra cautious because I tend to flub it up on Fridays, right? The flub, though, might be being too cautious because I could have gotten filled there and have a tick. I have a good position in the queue still. Fridays are my worst days because it's either there's news and it really moves and I screw up the really big moves, I play it wrong, or it just gets really range bound and I just get stopped out everywhere. Well, I'm feeling actually pretty good so far because when we were up there, above 23.5, I said, hey, you know, it looks to me like it's range bound and they want you to buy 23.5, but it's probably actually a dangerous proposition because it's kind of 50-50, and if they push down here, they could probably go for a few more, and it really did end up doing that, didn't it? Um, Now the thing that I see right now is that 22 half 23 was the open. We're below the open. There might be some fighting to keep it below the open. I think I missed my entry on this trade, but 22 half might be the spot where I would take it off. I don't know. The E-mini appears to be falling down again, though. But the E-mini might come down, fail to make a new low, and then push higher into the open. We'll see. Maybe on the other hand, if the E-mini is a short, they could give us a good trade on the open. That sucks, not filled. And they're showing some size at 22. And in fact, it just moved up. But this is the top end of this range in ZB. I can't buy it here. That would be foolish. Well, boo on 26. Yeah. I think, well, you know what I can do, actually? Oh, you know what? I didn't even have it on my live account anyways. Yeah. Maybe we'll just try this. If it ticks down in that 22 pulls, we could probably get an easy fill here. I've really enjoyed this trade because it usually works out. And if it doesn't work out, then you just never get hit, so it's not like you're out for anything. Good morning, IQ. This is the part where I buy 50 and crash to Treasuries. Wow. They are trying really hard to make me FOMO into it, aren't they? I really, really, really want to just buy 23. But I know, like, it is range bound. They are showing size up here, so like look at the Vista chart here. Huh? Where it's like the worst spot. It's like the worst spot right there. I need opportunities to make yesterday losses back. No, don't think about yesterday. Don't think about it. That'll just cause you to look for a trade that's not there. Just focus this individual trade. I'm going to take this individual trade the best that I can. Trade this action the best that I can. It still seems, I don't know. So like we had to move down, and then when we had to move down, we were into this kind of messy area. And now we're ticking up above the messy area. But it's still, the price action and the way that it's ticking is still kind of the same. Which says to me that we're still in that action. So for me to buy there at 23.5, I know that is they're trying to they're trying to catch you. They're that sell at 22.5. I think is kind of the similar thing. Now, does the 22 pull? And that's the question to see if we take it. I'd still be on the lookout for hardcore sellers up here in ZB, right? And we also should remember the chart here. The E-mini may be bouncing and failing to make a new low. If that is the case, then Treasuries could fall a lot more. So I just still see the case that this seems to be a screw retail traders over area right here. This is a screw over retail traders area. And I think it's probably better for me to stay out. Now I have this one order here, but one, it did end up being on sim, and two, I have a really good position in the queue at 21.5. So Lucas says, I don't see another run for the rest of the session. Well, we could have some movement after 10 o'clock Eastern time, because that inflation expectation news does matter. Ace says that he's looking for a short. Well, if the E-mini does sell and it's a really good short, then it could be, I don't know. I do think that risk reward probably favors us going short. I mean, like, those highs were rejected yesterday in ES. They filled the gap. I don't see any reason for them to be buying today. Treasuries don't seem to confirm that we should be moving up, but let's see if I can try and figure out which price it is that he's going to pick. Not that one. Maybe it was 28.58.25. It says that it needs to get a bit higher and then come back down past it, like at 28.58.25. Okay. So that they traded 28.58.25 a couple of times and didn't go through it, that is, you are seeing that as something then, yeah. Just not necessarily where the entry is, just like that's the edge. That's the edge. I want to see them try and go past the edge and get stopped. Yeah, just clear it. This 5-year is interesting to me too. Okay, so there's an iceberg at 150.02. But they tick up. Seems like the 10-year is lagging a little bit today. Were you talking about the news at 10 a.m.? Yeah. So there's inflation expectation news at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I always try and specify the time zone so that we know what we're talking about. So if I say my time, none of you guys watch keep mountain time, except for me and Ace. Myself and Ace. Ace and myself. Bad at English. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so they've actually had some kind of like stoppy moves here in ES down, but then it doesn't go. Okay, there's a lot of buying there in ZB though, and they're not going through the 22. They're iceberging at 22 half. But it's just a really bad spot for a buy risk wise. That's interesting. I think that they may break this iceberg and move down. It's going to be a 50. This is kind of a 50-50 thing, the probability here. At 22 half. See, so there's the E-mini. Kind of taking that little drop and pretending like they're going to go, and then they don't. It gets bought back up. And it ticks up. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so the treasuries, sorry, the E-mini. The E-mini's been having like a move down. You can see here on the chart, down, down, and then we just had a third rush, and that third rush actually did get a little bit lower. You can really see it over here on my chart. You can see this kind of little thing right here. Okay. When that happened, the 10-year ticked up and started holding a strong bid at 23 right here. And now it has already ticked back down. 22 half looks weak again. UB is on cocaine. Do I even have my UB chart up? It's still, I do. What's UB doing? Oh, you're right. This is trading a ton today. That's interesting. But that makes sense, right? The speculation is all in the 30-year right now. There's probably good trading over there. Except for that, it always seems to not work very well for me with the order flow. It's a hard read for me over there. So it's interesting to me. Did you see what I just did there? I clicked on my Vista charts and then the windows showed up in the taskbar, and before that, they weren't there. It's kind of weird, right? Yeah, Uzi reposting then news about 6-month delay on decision to impose tariffs on imports of imported cars and parts. Salvini will wait for outcome of EU elections before deciding Draghi successor. They're gonna change. They're gonna get rid of Draghi. Why? Is it time for him to retire? I'm so sad, guys. First we lost Bay Yellen, and now we're gonna lose Draghi too. And all we got left is Jerome, who he's a nice guy and everything, but he's a nice guy. That's the problem. He's a nice guy. And the market is a lady. She doesn't like nice guys. Yellen, that was like, she knew how to treat a girl. You know what I'm saying? Yellen always knew the right thing to say to, oh, don't worry, markets, everything's going to be okay. We've got the monetary policy thing all under control. We're going to have easy money. The economy's going to do great. Yellen was good at it. Jerome, he's a nice guy. He hasn't done too good of a job so far. Even though I think, well, he shouldn't have raised in December, but other than that, I think their decisions have been okay. Bronx says yes. Well, I'm thinking about it. Little rant for today. Because the thing that's been talking about the girls, and the reason this kind of came to my mind today was because there's been a lot of political conversation about abortion, and I don't want to get too big into the policy stuff on abortions, other than to say that I think that late term abortions, especially third trimester abortions, should not be legal. I think 8 weeks is maybe okay. 13 weeks, I think, would put us on par with most of the Western world, but I just don't think that we should allow late term abortions. And so there's a lot of conversation about this on my Facebook feed. And there's always people talking about the patriarchy. Oh my. And it drives me crazy. And here's why it drives me crazy. Think about, I think that people should do what they enjoy, and people should do what they are good at. Now, women have some innate advantages in certain areas, right? Ace is like, let's talk about abortions. No. That was just the intro. No. The women do have some innate advantages in some things, okay? Women approach risk differently than men, right? Men are more about risk taking and aggression. And women do not have, on average at least, they approach risk differently. And so, especially if you're scalping, where you really need to be very good at managing your risk, and that can be an advantage for girls. And I've seen a lot of girls come into our chat. I get like stats from YouTube about my viewers, and all of my viewers over the past month. I mean, it's a little bit different if you take it a little bit wider, but over the past month, almost all of the viewers are people between the ages of 25 and 35. Almost all of them. And almost all of them are men. There's only a few women. Like literally just a tiny handful of women that have ever even come and found the channel. But they watch a ton of video on the education videos. They pull it up on replay. They watch the replay, like they watch a ton of minutes. They're incredibly dedicated. It appears to me. Like, good job. I think we could maybe, if everybody was as dedicated as that, maybe the retail trader statistics wouldn't be so bad. But I think that it can be a really good option for a lot of girls. Like, have your husband make your husband in charge of getting the kids ready for school, and you can scalp, and then you have the rest of the day to do the other things that you want to do. It's a good option for a lot of people. Or there's lots of other good options that are like starting a business. I remember when I worked for Goldman Sachs, they had so many really great programs for women. Like they had this 1,000 women thing where they would teach and help women become entrepreneurs. Look at that, 22 went with only 1489. And that was a really successful program. They also had like a returnship thing where it's like, if you had kids and you stopped your career, then you could come back and restart your career, which was like a really cool thing too. But there's all these different things that I think there's like lots of really great opportunities, things that not only women can enjoy, but that they're good at. But when I go on my Facebook or Twitter and I look at what people are saying, do I see people saying, oh, you should maybe look into investing? That might be a good avenue for you. Or you should become an entrepreneur. That might be a good avenue for you. They don't say that. You know why they don't say that? Because they want people to be victims. See, if you were truly empowered, then they wouldn't be able to use that to their advantage. They need you to be, feel oppressed, essentially, right? That otherwise, you wouldn't vote for them. You do all these other things. And then, like, what kind of careers do they encourage people to go into? Are they the ones that you maybe enjoy the most, or the ones that maybe you're good at? No. Actually, if you really think about it, they're the jobs that are the most demand in the market. So, like, there's a big push to get women into STEM jobs, which is cool. Like, if you're into computers, you should totally do it, right? But I think that really what they're trying to do is that it costs too much for computer jobs, and they're trying to lower wages. Like, totally, they're trying to lower wages. You think about it. So when you think about it from that perspective, okay, the patriarchy, right? What is the patriarchy really? It's a boogeyman invented to control you, to prevent you from taking the courses of action that would truly empower you. They keep you a victim. It's all total fucking scam. I know that that's like a really political thing to say, but I just look at this. This would be such a good opportunity for lots of women, and they don't take it, and nobody talks about that. Creating your own YouTube channel, that would be a great opportunity for women. I don't see people in the feminist circles or the political circles pushing that sort of a thing. They want you to go and work a desk job. They want you to go and become a wage slave. It's retarded. So I really do believe that it's just a boogeyman to control you. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. Uzi says white men, right? Well, and that's the other thing, is that, like, when you look at the statistics, they say that women are happier when they have children. I would extend that to say that humans are happier in stable families. Okay, men are happier married. They flat out, they are. That's what the statistics show. And a lot of the social justice warriors are, like, discouraging you from doing that. Don't start a family. Don't get married. Go become a wage slave. What the hell? Okay, so Ace is taking his short now. White men are the modern day version of what the Jew was for the Nazis. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, so this is not working. I'm surprised, but I may have to scratch this. Did you see they totally went through 22? There was a big old order there, right? And it cleared, and hardly any traded there to keep it. But then nobody went into 21.5. I'm quite surprised. Well, it really is. I find that I think that if anybody out there is telling you that a overall group of people are responsible for your lot in life, that you need to be suspicious. I mean, granted, I would say it's reasonable to say, okay, you know what? Because of immigration, wages are lower. It's true, okay? But that's not responsible for where you are in life. You can make decisions, and you can adjust for that, right? You can see what the situation is, what the trends are, and you can adjust your life accordingly, right? But to try and put it on another group of people, like especially all white men, like the majority, the single largest group of people in the United States is simply ridiculous and can only be a strategy to control you. Why trigger at 28:58:25? Shamrocks. I knew. I wish I knew how he did it, but he just, yeah, I was just about to say, my guy, the CME said that was where they were going to dump it all. He just gives a funny answer, but he is right almost every fucking time. So now you got to be careful because sometimes he only gets eight ticks out of it. But man, he gets a pretty good job out of it at it. Uzi, the kid is 16. Don't get him all fancy. So they've pushed down like maybe they're going to do it. I think that I can wait and be patient here. But this whole market action is a little unusual and frankly frustrating. I wonder where. Also was 28:58:25, which is just one beyond the step in the profile. Well, we could take it. In fact, okay. Asus thinks so. Of course. Okay, I took it. Like the thing is I wish I knew how he identifies those prices, but then once he tells me where the price is, and I start watching it, I can see things about it that make me go, okay, yeah, actually, I do want to take one there. Can you see how they ticked into me? They only ticked one beyond it, and they're almost immediately pushing it down from there. So I don't know how we determined that it was, oh, look, I may actually get my fill over here on my sim trade. And you can see the market doesn't appear ready yet to move, frankly. But it's ranging below the price. I'd be happy to tell you, but I have to take me to lunch someday. You know what? We're going to definitely do it. I'm thinking. Well, I'm still looking at things. This weekend is pretty crazy because it's the girl's birthday, and we were gonna go to a camping, but I don't know. It's raining pretty hard right now. I don't know if I actually want to do that. And I want to watch the horse race tomorrow. I'm trying to get into horse racing, and there's a horse race tomorrow. And I'm working on the yard. So that's the other thing is I've got to get the yard finished. But once the yard gets finished, I want to do something. Just like lunch. And I want to do that, and I want to meet some of the other guys that are here in the valley too. And then I'm hoping, after we've all met each other a few times, that we could go camping like in August. So, but yeah, right now things are kind of crazy. Come on, do it. Do it. So close. Can you see? This thing is ridiculous. This is like, hey, we know that Seth is trying to pull a tick down here, and we don't want to let him have it. That is what that is right there. And they pushed it down, but they only got 400 orders to do it. That's crazy. But did you see? They all pulled. I was actually at the back of the queue. I was at the back of the queue. Can you believe that? You have the rest of your life for the yard. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm not quite exactly sure where it comes from, but my wife really, really wants the yard. Like, I can just see that we are, because she wanted it done last year, and the guys that we hired to do it didn't do it. That's why we don't have a yard right now. And the dogs, they go out there, they go to the bathroom, they come back in, they track mud in. And the kids don't have anywhere to play. Like it causes her emotional distress that we don't have the yard. I've got to get this done here, preferably in May. And we've been doing all of the work ourselves. Okay, look at that. I did get the fill. That is fucking hilarious. My goodness. So let's change this so that we can show all the trades so that it'll show up there. All right, cool. All right. What did Lucas say? You and Dustin, it's gonna cost double. We're the CME guy. Right. Oh, I missed that one where he doesn't care where the 2 points of breakfast come from. So he just takes it all for granted. Okay, well that came back on me, but it's still, that price is still kind of being a toughie. Zalia, am I saying that right? Welcome to our little chat room here. I don't know, guys. It doesn't. The thing is that the treasuries are not saying like they're ready to go and do something. There is an iceberg there at 21.5. That's pretty hilarious. Yeah. See, I tell you what happened there was my little buy at 21.5. That little one ticker that I took at 21.5 was too good of a trade. It was so good. They did not want to give it to me, and they finally they forced them into it. They might test 27 again in ZB. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering. I mean, the treasuries did move down here a little bit. Equities haven't really done anything. I mean, they were down for a little bit, but then they just came back up, and they're kind of still in the same spot. This is my first time to say something, but I always watch your channel. Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I mean, the thing is that for me, of course, I am doing well, but I don't do this as like, oh, I think I'm the great guru and everybody should learn to trade the way that I am and everything like that. I know that people find it really useful. But for me, it was really like just a way to journal my trades. But then it turned into, like there's other people, and it's kind of lonely trading, so the community is now like the whole thing. So even if you guys aren't like, you need to focus, and so you can't sit and chat with the rest of us, that's totally okay. Okay, but I still really like to know that you guys are out there. So I appreciate Zaldia, you coming in and saying hi. Smash the Bid says it's an unhealthy addiction. Okay, so the micro futures just went completely dead right there. That's interesting. So here's something that I find interesting about the micro futures. It doesn't flicker. Here in the 10-year, there's always a little, your price changes here, her price changes here. There's always a lot of little flickering. When it gets moving, it really flickers. Now look at MES. Even when it moves down, it doesn't really flicker. They stack and pull the whole thing, but they don't make the little changes. I wonder what would happen if you had a big lot, like 100, and you started stacking it at strange places. If the market would react to it, that would be crazy. If 100 contracts in the micro futures was enough to maybe even do something in the ES. Probably not, but I kind of wonder. Okay, so we are getting a little bit of a sell again. Okay. So we can see my 10 kind of doing something weird. Okay, but they took it. 42. Well, it's getting close to the open, so I'm looking for a spot here. They do appear to be breaking through this lower end, though. They did make a new swing low. What was it? What did you mean smash the bid by it's an unhealthy addiction? I didn't quite catch what you were talking about. Oh, and I missed what Uzi said there. I know that fills 3 big dogs in a backyard that's 85% sand. Ew. 3 big dogs. Fill me! Oh my gosh. It didn't fill me. Okay. So that they went through and they touched me and they didn't go through me, it makes me a little nervous, but it's coming back down. Look at this. Come on. So I'm 14th in queue. 13th, 10. There's only 12. Look. That was interesting. So that's something that we haven't really talked about, but do you notice how often that happens? You have a fill, you have an order, and it tells you, oh, you're like right at the front of the queue. And then it trades down to it, and all of a sudden it all pulls and you're actually at the back of the queue. And when that happens, it almost always goes through you. You can't try pulling it. In this case, I don't want to pull it because the E-mini is about to open and I don't know what it's going to do. But that was, I think there was a couple of times where we've gotten some good trades in the MES and I kind of screwed them up. That's the first time where I actually took the profit. So that's good. I could potentially hold it, but like yesterday I held it and then the open wasn't very good. Uzi says explode. Well, they are selling it into the open. That's curious. I wonder if we're going to rise up here. Shalom Dum. Welcome back. Okay, so here comes the open in the E-mini. They were selling quite a bit into the open, but the first impulse is long. And this is exactly why I took my profit. I'm convinced now that Dustin pushed the market down for us. Because it was a little odd how it sold down into the open, and now it's almost immediately turning around. Political Bitcoin talk incoming. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to say about Bitcoin right now that we haven't already said, right? If you bought it, there's your pullback. I don't think it's going to work out so well, but we'll see. We'll see where we are in a week. But these tend to go fast. Not today, just relaxing. That's the way to do it, man. I tell you what, these guys, like the traders at Goldman Sachs. Not that I ever knew any of them personally, but just kind of knowing from what people would say, and when I was in New York, when people would leave the office and things like that. On a day like today, they're waiting around for the 10 o'clock Eastern Time news, and they're going to make a trade, and then they go home. They go home. It's like, you've had a good week. You get your little bit that you need, and you're done, and you go home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he says it's pretty much buy the dip by dollar cost, average under 7K. Okay. Mm. At 7K, where are we at? Mm, still 180. And it's still incredibly overbought. It's gonna be interesting. The thing that is kind of interesting to me on this one so far. If I come over here, I'll just show you. So there's a couple of different things that I would maybe look at on Reddit, but I really like the BTC subreddit. I think that these guys know what they're talking about. Okay. So we had a 10% decline in price. What are people saying? Do we see anything about price action on here? Oh, LP blocks. The tsunami comes. They're stuck in a traffic jam. How did S2X? Oh, okay. Here is one. Only 21 comments. Let's see what they're saying. Move this up so that we're not blocking the price action. This guy's saying something. We are numb. Bitcoin is volatile. Boring. Everything is fine. It's just, there's not a whole lot of interesting conversation about it, is there? And there's only one thread about it. Let's look at the Bitcoin subreddit. r/Bitcoin. Don't invest recklessly 6 days ago. Okay. Okay. They bought the dip. That's maybe what I'm looking for. They really bought up on that, didn't they? And Treasuries down to a new swing low. See, there is no way that I would have called that, or that I could even see that that's what was going to happen. And I just took teeny tiny little things and took it out of the range. That is exactly the kind of mistake that in the past that I would normally make. And I totally played it perfectly that time. Too well, in fact. Too well, in fact. That the whole thing, how long did it take me to get the fill on that one? Almost 10 minutes on both of them. Should not worry about that much. I have people calling me about Bitcoin now. The mainstream is coming in, but that's like, so the thing that made me be like, okay, this is now starting to get dangerous, is when I started to see my friends on Facebook talking about it again. Because like my Facebook friends, well, the thing that's interesting, I think most of the conservative, I mean, most people in Utah are conservative. I think most of my conservative friends have left social media. 27 holds again. Really? They didn't touch it? Wow. Well, yeah, but now that we're down there, that's kind of a question of, do we actually want to keep it? The E-mini is buying and the treasuries are selling off quite strongly just based off of one little move up in the E-mini. I don't know. Anyways, most of my conservative friends have left. But when I started on Facebook, the thing is it was a really good tool to promote things, and I was into music. So most of the people that I added on my Facebook feed, the 1,400 friends that I have or anything like that, 95% of them are people from the rave scene that I don't really know. Although I've made really good friends with a couple of them, and some of them are really quite liberal, and we argue. I mean, I love to argue, and we're quite nasty with each other about it, but I think we still enjoy it because we're still friends. We haven't removed each other from our walls. A lot of people, when I started posting more political stuff after the election, they did remove me, but okay, so these are ravers, and most of these people, and I really like having these people on my feed because to me, well, they're not like normal people. I don't think they're, because they're ravers, and ravers are definitely unique, but the place that they are at in their life, the kind of skills that they have, and like through the economic flow of things, I think that it is kind of more the common thing. I think that myself and most of the people that I speak to, because we're in technology, we kind of avoided a lot of that stuff. But most of these people, you know, they're normal people, and I think that it kind of keeps you grounded a little bit. Like I can see that, hey, you know what? For most people in my generation, because of the 2008 crisis, they lost at least 5 years of their economic life. That's just what happened. Because when they were coming into the workforce, there was not very good jobs. They weren't able to find a really, really good career until a couple of years later. And now they're playing catch up. Most millennials don't have investments. They've never dealt with investments at all. And then Bitcoin comes along and they're talking about Bitcoin. The last group of people that I think should be investing in something speculative. So when I see them come into to Bitcoin, I know that the top is probably close. And I've seen a lot of extra activity about it lately. So let's see what their comments are in here on this bot the dip thing. I just buy and hodl. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I should do this. This might be painful. We're gonna keep on it as long as the viewer count stays. I'm just kidding. No, we won't get too deep into this. June is normally the pullback month, and July is normally higher highs. I'm an old guy, so the people I know are over 50. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Well, you are right, Shalom. There is definitely kind of like seasonal times of month in Bitcoin, and I don't know what causes it. I think that we do know that the early part of the year, part of that is because of Chinese New Year and people taking profits. I can't explain why it does what it does over the summer, though. At the same time, I don't think that it matters much just because of where we're at. If we were at a reasonable value level, then I would be like gung ho. But anyways, not too long ago, the price was at 3,500, and you call 7,200 a dip. Think about it. But does that mean that it's going to fall a lot more, or that it's going to go up a lot more? That one's kind of a double-sided sword there. You bought too early. The dip is not here yet. 25% pullback would be more of a dip. You actually bought closer to a top. That's kind of how I'm feeling. But I don't know. Oh, by the way, look at that delta in CF. Let's post that in Discord. That's quite. That was a pretty big trade there in the 5 years. Somebody bought something and then dumped it. And now they're dumping it at 04 half. That's interesting. It's interesting that I came in today wanting to buy, and that definitely was not the correct trade. What could we have gotten? We could have taken 22. We could have maybe gotten 6 ticks. I guess it could have been a good trade. I don't know. The cycle only tells me the direction of the move and the change in trend, not the price. Okay. Well, I think that one of the things that I really am a strong proponent of is that you got to understand the business of the product that you're trading, and any predictable cycles, because of the business. So Bitcoin people, it's mostly speculative, so people take profits at the end of the year or for tax reasons. You know, I definitely think that's an important thing, but it's just one little component. Like here in Treasuries, you know, it's Friday, so I'm super cautious, right? But the reason that treasuries are as high as they have been is because of stock markets being very, very concerned about a trade war. This morning, they don't seem to care, and they're moving up. And so, if they're going to move up, treasuries are going to move down. And it doesn't matter that it's Friday. You got a pretty good sell trend today. Now, I didn't see it coming. I kind of saw enough to be cautious about it, things though. The funny thing is I took that trade was at 22. So I really could have gotten 6 ticks out of it, except for that it was on sim. I did not come from crypto. Originally, I have far more gold and silver than cryptos. Okay. Silver market is really interesting. Anyways, so here's what somebody's saying that it was not. Okay, that dip was glorious. You call that a dip. I think we'll see 6 to 5. Abandoned ship. Not really. However, I think the ship might sink if it gets any heavier. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. You notice how nobody's saying anything fundamental here? They're listing prices and why they think that, where they think it's going to go, and it's mostly based off of, well, you get a dip and then it goes up, or there's a pullback sort of a thing. There's not any kind of, okay, I see people getting long here. I see this particular price being important because of this action or whatever, right? There's nothing in here that actually, from my experience, has any edge. Where can I buy and what crystal ball are you using? People being happy when Bitcoin crashes is the most idiotic thing I've seen in a long time. Save that buy the dip stuff, please. Bitcoin was 3,000 nearly 2 weeks ago, and you're happy to buy now and not back then. Yeah. I'd be cautious about thinking that this is the pullback. Ooh, I'm feeling kind of weird all of a sudden. That's weird. I'm feeling slightly dizzy. Okay. Buying the dip means you're buying a visible dip in the charts. Imagine you have a chip and you dip it in the salsa. If you track your hand as you dip, you can see your point of purchase and see the chip come back out of the dip. The amount of salsa, the better. And that is a perfect representation of the optimal buying point. And then you can enjoy your sweet hot gains. What the hell? Does anybody else think that what I just read there is a little... What the fuck? This is... Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. Like I said, you want to know the business and the cycles? Here's the next thing that you got to know. Who are you trading against? That's who you're trading against, guys. That would make me a little bit nervous if that's who I'm trading against. I do not hold any Bitcoin right now. I trade it for altcoins. Okay. It's interesting. I'm really interested if I believe that this is a bubble. If this is a bubble and this thing really does deflate like the indicator says that it should and that it has done every other time, at that point, the cryptocurrency market is going to be at a huge crossroads, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out. I think that this could be really, really, really good for Bitcoin Cash, but we'll see what happens. Man, they went even further. So now if you had held it, which I would not have held it, but if you had held it, it could have been an 8-ticker move now. And if I come over here to this chart and I'll look at ZN, we're not even to yesterday's low. And there's a point of control at 13.5. Shalom says I hate BCH. Uh, I mean, the problem is going to be that if this was a bubble, um, people are going to blame it on Bitcoin Core. I don't see any other way around that. I'm more interested in owning as much XRP. Okay. What's Donald Trump saying here? The fake news media is hurting our country with its fraudulent and highly inaccurate coverage of Iran. It is scattershot, poorly sourced, and dangerous. At least Iran doesn't know what to think, which at this point may well be a good thing. That was 3 minutes ago. Interesting. This is just still going, guys. This is like, now I want to sell it, and they're going to flip it. You see. You watch. And now the E-mini is going sideways here. I wonder... Okay, so there's that move. There's that move. Interesting. I think that there was too many people long. Still believe bonds are overextended, but very sensitive to bad news, says Alligator. Well, let's move this back over here. Yep, here's a guy that I think he kind of looks at it my way. This is what will really happen and has been happening, you FOMOs. Up, up, up. Originals pumpers sell. FOMOs get in. Up, up, up. FOMOs get out. Stronger FOMOs get in. You right now. Pumpers still slowly selling as not to shock the market and actually get their profit. Hence why the don't Brit Knoy news. I don't understand that last comment, but I think he's right. The pumpers took their profit. The futures took their profit. The smart money took profit. Zcash was over 4K in 2016 with only 6 million supply, so that's a no-brainer. Zec is okay. I actually own a little bit of that because of the whole Zcash thing. Like, because they were doing the mining reward, I decided to mine a little bit of it, but it wasn't worth it. You didn't get enough. You didn't get enough from mining it to be worth it, and the switchover was a complete disaster because of how they did it. That one, like, I kind of knew that it was going to be a disaster when it happened, but I was like, well, you know, it was just a week of mining. It's okay. But I know some people lost a ton. Uber shares slide as Amazon leads 600 million investing round in Deliveroo. Okay, they are actually giving me some signs that they might turn here. The E-mini pulled back significantly as well. The ZEC is compatible with Ethereum now. They have some kind of partnership. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I really like the coins that I would recommend are the ones that are going to get used. Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash seem to be two of the best ones for that. I also think XRP is up there with that. I also think, what's the IBM one? Stellar? I think Stellar probably could get some use. The coins that people buy and want to hold forever. So like one that I've been in that I really like because of some fundamental reasons, but they're not getting use is not garlic coin. Garlic coin is great, by the way. Grotessel, because that one is supposed to be a more environmentally friendly hashing algorithm, and it has very low overall coins that are ever going to be out there. So you would think that it would gain, but it does okay. But it mostly just kind of sits down there and moves with the overall market because there's not that many people using it. You got to get a reason for people to buy it. That's also why, by the way, my favorite shitcoin, Verge. Verge has a ridiculous amount of use compared to what the price is. Well, I want to take it, but it's too close to the news. But I want to buy 18.5. 7 minutes. Let's see. Well, they're pulling at 19 and it looks good so far if I had taken it. Basic attention token, you get them free if you use the Brave browser. If you do have the browser, you should. Oh, no, I definitely use Brave browser. 100%. 100%. So for you guys that aren't familiar with Brave, if you recall a couple of years ago, the lead engineer at Mozilla got outed for donating to the Proposition 8 campaign or whatever it was, like the gay marriage bill in California. He had donated to that, and he was outed, and they removed him from the organization. Since that time, those browsers have not been very good on privacy and other issues, have they? Mozilla is extremely bloated now. Chrome, I don't think is much better anymore, although it does have the good, process management. So this guy, he went and he started a new one, and he created Brave browser, and its primary uh, consideration is privacy. So when you look at if I come back over here and look at the window, there's this little thing right here, and it will tell you the things that you can do. So if you have a problem with the page, you can open it up, right? So I can say, oh, actually, I do need those scripts or whatever it is, right? So you have complete control over your privacy, and it's like front and center. And then it has this thing where you can get rewards for using it. You can get cryptocurrency for using it. It's just kind of interesting. But I don't know, can you actually buy stuff with it? I turned it on and like started accumulating stuff, and I haven't taken a look at it. So I wanted to take 18, right? 18 was the price. I think we're probably going to range around here for a bit. I think that there was some room to be profitable with it, but I think that I did the right thing. There was this period where the market would accept companies that didn't make money, says Nayla Richardson about IPOs. The tolerance is changing as we get later in the cycle. Yes, there's a lot of consumer demand, but where's the path to profitability? Thank you. I like it. The guy that invented the Brave browser invented JavaScript. How is it? That has some vendors that accept it, but the main demand comes from advertisers that have to buy it. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, right, because if they advertise through the thing. That's cool. Okay. 3 minutes. And we lost a few people. What was it that I said? What did I say? What were we talking about? Well, we were talking about Bitcoin. Maybe they lost interest because of Bitcoin. I don't know. But they're going to miss the good news, the news. So, well. I need to stop messing with the cord. You can probably hear that, huh? Mm-mm-mm. Where's my, there we are. So let's just look back at these numbers again really quick. We got 2 minutes left. We're looking for the University of Massachusetts. Is it Massachusetts? Michigan, sorry. University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment. We are looking for a reading on consumer sentiment of 97.8, which is very, very high. Previous was 97.2. I'm suspecting that it might not be as good. Leading index, we're looking for a reading of spot 2 versus the previous of spot 4. And inflation expectations were, there's no forecast, but last time it was a reading of 2.5. And it's been around there. I think that it might actually be below that. I don't think that we're going to get 2.5% of inflation. We're not even going to get 2, right? There's another big sell in the 5-year. Okay. Less than a minute now. China firmly opposes U.S. unilateral sanctions against Iran. World Proxy War 1, yeah. Okay. Right. So here it comes. I haven't seen the number yet. Okay, it is trading down though. So I suppose I just don't touch it. Let's come over here and see if it's giving it to us here, because we're not getting it on Twitter. Okay, the consumer sentiment was 102.4. Holy crap. Wow. Yeah, we could go to the lows of the day now, frankly. I don't know about selling it right here. I mean, you're not going to get filled on limit. It's probably better to wait. Yeah, let's see if I had just hit in there, I would have gotten caught in this. I should still err on the side of caution here, I think, guys. What's the inflation expectations? Okay, inflation expectations, they expect 2.8, and the leading index is in line. Okay, well, I don't think that we're going to get 2.8% inflation, but okay. It's a sentiment survey. Yeah, pretty awesome numbers, though. So the E-mini rallying a little bit there, but they did not make a new swing high. I'm still skeptical about this. It's curious to me that Treasuries fell as strongly as they did. There's a little bit of pulling here in this range. So I think I would rather buy, but not against a trend like that. You know? Hmm. Well, we could have bought 15. I didn't see like a clear signal there or anything, but could have. Woulda, coulda. Okay. Interesting. Did you see farmers were only able to plant half the crops they normally plant? Nah, I didn't see that. Obviously, things are not very good for farmers right now, but I don't know if that means that there's going to be some big inflation and shortages coming, but we'll see. Inflation is definitely too low. Uh, I was hoping that they were going to try and go for 15, but they didn't. But the E-mini is, I don't know what it's doing. The thing is when I look at it move, it kind of looks like crazy and like, oh, maybe the E-mini is going to sell. But then I look at the chart and I actually realize that they're relatively range bound. So there's probably not a lot of reason for me to be taking a huge risk here. Certainly not buying the top of the range. But I've said that many times today, and there was opportunities, and I didn't take them. So, okay. So they've been able to tick back and forth a lot at all of these prices in here through this whole range right here. You can see it developing, especially at 16.5 apparently. Thought maybe they were going to touch this, but they didn't. Hmm. Alligator mentions there's strong support here. Oh, you know what? I never turned my strategy on. I wonder if it would have taken one. It might have taken a short at 19. Actually, might have taken one at 24. That's funny. Now they're touching 17. Maybe they're just going to bounce right out of here. I don't know. Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Alligator has a good point. What we just saw right there so far is potentially just a pullback. The 5-year looks poised to move down again. If we were to take a short 16.5, would probably be a great place to do it. But the way that the E-mini is trading makes me a little uncertain. Also, notice that the liquidity flipped when we got down here. That's interesting. I haven't seen this in a long time. I haven't seen this in a long time, but it's not behaving the way that I typically recall from when it does this. When you get a clear, it hits a level, and then there's a clear flip in the liquidity like that. It tends to be a reversal, and it tends to flip very quickly. But this is still dinking around. The micro futures look pretty active now. There's a lot more flickering. Okay. They never gave me the really, really good buy location. They got excited there and came up though. Hmm. There's some buy in here. Okay, so big order just showed up above us at 25. What's that? Well, that kind of changes my perspective here. Okay. Okay. Oops. Oops. It's okay. Wouldn't have gotten filled anyways. Hmm. Okay. Lucas is long 16. Wow, how'd you get 16? Oh, 16 in ZN. Nope. So they're dinking around, but they are trending up. And they're doing it. Um, there's some very intentional movement here. Okay. Monero, the coin that doesn't get hacked. Was there something happen over there? Hmm. So that 16 is not pulling. They're definitely reacting to the turns in the E-mini, but the E-mini is not. Who my leg just fell asleep. What the heck? Like they're facing down right now, but it may turn around and then we might come back down. Oh, look, there you go. There's some selling. Well, I would like to be long, but I haven't been able to find a spot that I feel comfortable with. They're starting to zipper around 17. Hmm. Worst farming crisis in the mainstream media is not even covering it. Wow. Can you give me a link? I don't know. Thought so. Well, the debts is definitely a problem. They are getting help though, right? I don't know too much about the farming industry, but I think that there's a lot of, it might not be as much of a concern to people because there's a lot of wiggle room on that. Like the government often pays farms money to not farm or to just, let the crops sit there because they make too much. Well, there's some sort of an iceberg at 17 and a half. This could just be pullback still. Well, how much has it been? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay. What are you going to do with your Bitcoins if Bitcoin goes to 1 million? Sell it, obviously. Americans don't need food. They eat fat and chemicals. There you go. I mean, it's not going to go to 1 million, unfortunately. I mean, if you haven't, I think you missed the earlier conversation, HH. But I'm not terribly bullish on Bitcoin right now. I'm kind of in this bull run I didn't participate in, and I'm waiting for them to come down to a reasonable value level because right now it just does not look good to me. Buy gold. Yeah, I'm doing pretty okay scalping treasuries here. Done really great this week. Um, I don't know about this one though. So we just came down 3 ticks. So now we're back to 50.5. That is the spot where I thought maybe I could buy it, but it's come down with so much momentum compared to what it was coming up with. It's a little sketchy, and the liquidity is changing. Gold is cornered. 16 half. It's actually starting to look like a short to me now. The dollar is not a good measure of value over time? No. Well, there's properties about the dollar that make it, but if you're sitting there and you want something that how do we say this? You want something that is stable and will be a safe haven for your money over a very long period of time. I'm not so sure that there is anything out there that is really perfect. If there was, all of the big guys would probably just put their money there. I think that everything has a utility. Flooding is part of a FEMA program. I don't know. It's close to 820. We might just say that my little short there in the E-mini was the trade and we're done. Yeah, the E-mini is just meat grinding. Do you think Trump owns Bitcoins? Probably not. I think that if Donald Trump owned Bitcoin, this is a funny. I find this an entertaining topic. I'm glad you asked the question. I think that if Donald Trump had Bitcoin, that he would not be able to be quiet about it. You know what I mean? So I believe that Donald Trump has ADHD. So if he had Bitcoin, he would tell us. I think so. 100%. What people do not understand is gold and silver are the money of the rich. That's the trick. Okay. I don't know. Land is the money of the rich. Thank you. I think Uzi's got a very compelling point right there. Land is the money of the rich. I would not have thought of that response, but that is a very wise answer. So the problem that I have with gold and silver, not necessarily like a problem, like there's something wrong with it, but any time that I see people talking about gold and silver and I start watching it, and then it ends up not being what they say. I think that I think that gold kind of has some of the same problems that Bitcoin does in that the majority of the demand for it is speculation. If you want something to be a store of value, I think that it has to have something more fundamental behind its value than just speculation. Land is the best store value, yes, but most people lose it due to taxes. I see. Okay, so 15 half went offer. E-minis are pushing highs again. Guess I was right that this really is a short. Whoa. There were no long-term loans prior to the 70s? There weren't like 30-year loans? I think there were, but I think that in the 70s they made a change where the 30-year loan started to become a lot more common than the 10-year loan. There was definitely a really big change in the 70s in access to consumer credit. And they kind of almost had to because the economy was stagnating in many respects. There was inflation and people weren't buying things. When my wife and I were in Hawaii for our wedding, we randomly ran into some uber rich lady who owned the company that provides and maintains all the transportation buses for Disney. Really? Shalom Dunn says, nope, only 15 years on the license. So now it's telling me that I might not even get filled at 15 if I put an order in there. That's like the lowest I'd be willing to go. Because if we were taking a trade here, it would have to be for the low of the day. And see, I don't know if that's a doable one here. Plus, there's going to be some support here. And it is 824. E-mini really took a jump up there, though. There's going to be some resistance, though. There was some overnight turns here. We were sitting at the charging station, complaining about how all our friends began hating us because we were making more money, and the lady walked up to charge her phone and overheard. And what's better saying? Impossible that something that volatile can be used as storage or currency. So until people stop buying all these shit coins that only make noise for BTC and XMR, it's just a lottery. I agree. I mean, I don't want to take like as extreme of a stance on there, but I do feel like it's just speculation. And began talking about her own story about becoming wealthy and her friends disowning her over it. Really? That's interesting. You know, like the thing is for so put yourself back in that situation. And let's say that you weren't quite as successful as you have been, but you were still successful. At what point do you think would have been successful enough for those friends to disown you? What do you think is that threshold where they start acting like that? Now they're doing the rangy thing down here. Maybe you could buy 15. Oh, look, there was an iceberg right there, in fact. Oh, I'm super tempted. No. E-mini's moving up. I don't think I should. In the early 1900s, home buyers typically had to pay 50% down. Yeah. But I mean, it changed for a reason, right? Well, there they went through it. we came from a pretty bottom tier, and if I had to grade us, I'd say upper middle class at best, nowhere near the woman we were speaking to, but when you come from the bottom, I got you. So if you move from people that are maybe making $30,000 a year to somebody that's maybe making $70,000 a year, then you might see that kind of behavior. 5-year loans, yeah. Having 5K in a savings account is enough to make everyone beg you for money. Really? Huh. You know what? I don't think that any of my friends would ever beg me for money because they know that number one, I am a total Scrooge, and number two, that I'm probably the most stubborn person you'll ever meet. And if I say that I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. And the more that they would try and convince me that I should give them money, the less likely it is that it's going to happen. But I think so. Sometimes I wonder, when I'm 60, I'm going to be visited by ghosts and so forth, and then realize how greedy I've been in my life. I think about that sometime. I like to say bah humbug too. Like this right now, humbug. I said I wasn't gonna take it any lower than this, but it's gonna go. We're talking 25,000 and lower. We moved up to about 150,000 a year for a period, and back down to about 80K when I finally dumped her old Mitsubishi Outlander for a big ass Tundra. Her sister legit stopped talking to her for a year. Wow, really? Well, so here's one thought. Why is it that you remember we were talking the other day about how there's this strange mismatch between class and political party right now, that it seems like that a lot of, they say that Republicans favor the rich, but then all of the rich snobby people are Democrats. And perhaps maybe do some people think that you get too rich that you become snobby like that? I think Max Kaiser was right on Magical Crypto Conference when he said it's a currency when Bitcoin hits 100,000 and most coins are gone and only 5 maybe survive. And one of them will be, I agree. I think that of the 5 that are most likely to be like those 5, I think Monero is one of them. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero. I'm unsure about the corporate coins, but XRP and Stellar are probably in there somewhere, and Bitcoin Cash maybe, but I don't think in the long run, I don't think that both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin can do it. Both of them. I think one of them has to die. Do you think the future Bitcoin will only be relevant in North America? No. But people are going to have to get past the speculation aspect of it, right? I think that the reason I do what I do in cryptocurrency, I have this indicator. You can see it if you go down into the video description and you click on the Patreon link. You can see my Patreon, and I post a Bitcoin chart that measures value against the blockchain. Right now it says that Bitcoin is ridiculously overvalued and that a major crash is imminent. A major crash being much, much lower than it is, like we're talking like 50 to 80% value decline. And I post that chart because I want people to invest Bitcoin based on fundamentals about what gives Bitcoin value and not just on speculation. So what gives Bitcoin value? Use. If people are using the blockchain, that makes it worth more. If people aren't using it, like right now, they aren't using it, then it's not worth as much. Which, by the way, means that it's deflationary. If the economy is going to go into a recession, you don't want to own Bitcoin. Okay, that was a really strong uptick. They stacked 4,000 there at 15, but then it pulled. That is shenanigans right there. Anyways, and then what would happen is people would see, this is too high, and they would start selling it. And Bitcoin would become much less volatile at that point. And so from my perspective, yes, it's like, okay, you are kind of sharing your edge a little bit, and that can decrease your profitability. But in the long run, it is an investment because I'm making Bitcoin more useful. So that's why I want people subscribe to the Patreon. And the reason behind the $5, aside from that, I do want to, have as much money as I can to put into the cryptocurrency when it comes to a reasonable value area. And also because some people do want to support the channel. But I think that the biggest thing for me, the biggest benefit for me, is that it shows some confidence in the strategy that there is 20 plus people willing to subscribe for well over a year and a half now because the indicator has been so useful to them. So I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and share that link around with your friends, because I think that this realization in the market is going to be important going forward in terms of getting more stable price and larger adoption. Okay, so anyways, my wife is walking downstairs now, so the animals are going to be very, very loud. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now going back to what Uzi was saying. Poor people are the most envious and greedy people on earth. In conversations about class, you got all these rich people talking about poverty who have no idea what it's like to bathe with the working poor. Meanwhile, when you employ the working poor, you quickly realize that even $15 an hour is about $1,000 an hour too little for them. Ooh, okay, that was a strong statement. So the thing I find interesting, so we were talking about minimum wage the other day on Reddit, and I was saying, hey, if you raise wages too much, you're going to get inflation. And they're saying, well, typically that doesn't happen. I guess technically that person is true because the wage increases almost always trail the inflation, and so it's just bringing the minimum wage up to what it should have been before, and so there's not actually like a huge appreciable impact on consumer goods with it. But have you ever heard this thing that like if minimum wage kept up with inflation, that it would be like $22 or something like that? It's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. Let me look it up for you guys. Here, I'll put it was on this one, right? Yeah. Minimum wage adjusted chart. Here it is on CNN. Check this out. I did not know this. Here is a chart of the minimum wage adjusted for inflation. If I don't want to hide my DOMs. Okay. So here it's been increasing, but when you do it in inflation adjusted dollars, it started out about $4. It almost got to 12 at one point, but we're actually in the middle average minimum wage. Even though people say that it should be higher, it is actually average historically. And by the way, when it was high in the 70s, we had inflation. It was a bad thing. It was a bad thing. So when you put that in perspective and you say some people want to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane. And in fact, there is some very strong data out there that suggests that when the minimum wage reaches a certain percentage of the medium wage, that it has extremely negative impacts on the economy. And we would be over that point at $15 an hour. In fact, Hillary Clinton herself knew about this, and that's why even she did not propose a $15 an hour minimum wage. She wanted $12. Interesting, right? Okay, so what else is he saying? My wife's employees get cash and gift bonuses from customers, right? Well, there's no way to fairly distribute gifts given my customers during the holidays, so they pool the gifts and do a drawing for the employees. We had this one girl who got a tumbler cap from a customer and $1,000 bonus from my wife. This chick flipped her fucking shit because she had to put the cup into the gift pool. Oh, I think that almost anybody. This is the thing. Man, and I think that this is what causes this. Our brains did not evolve. Our brains did not evolve in a world of abundance. They didn't. Our brains, our bodies evolved to live in an area where you could have a famine and you would have to go months without eating very much at all. Your brain always errs on the side of caution. That's why so many people have problem. We have all this food, but they can't control their eating. You know, these people that get like morbidly obese, that they're afraid that if they don't eat anything, or that if they go on a diet, that they'll die. Because that's what their brain is evolved to tell them, because that would ensure your survival back in the days when we were foragers. Oh, that chick couldn't care less about the $1,000 bonus, but the cup she cared about, right? So yeah, this is why our brains, we care more about loss than we do about gains. You can see me doing it right now, right? I've been like way overly cautious today, haven't I? I'm so concerned about losing the really really great week that I've had, and I really have had a great week. What is the overall? Yeah, turn back this on and take it for the whole week. Refresh. Obviously, this isn't going to include commissions and everything, but okay, 226, right? It's a pretty good week, and I could have potentially made more than 8 ticks going short on the open. I don't think I saw the short, but I could have easily made 4 ticks at least somewhere. There's a couple of trades that I just didn't take, and they would have worked out. But I'm more concerned about that. I know that Friday tends to be a bad day for me, and I just don't want to lose the good week that I've had. It's the same cognitive bias that we have. And yeah, that cognitive bias gets used against us to cause us to consume. The brain, it wants to consume things. It's worried that it's not going to have stuff. And so as soon as you have the money, it wants to go out and buy something. And especially people that are lower class, because really, if you've never really had a ton of money, then the whole calibration of those levels about what is it, I need to be concerned about and what I don't need to be concerned about is a little messed up. So they get even a little bit of money and they go blow it all. Or like these people that win the lottery and they spend it all. That tends to be the situation. It happens not because people are dumb, but because that's just the way that the human brain works. He wants to consume it all because it's afraid that it's not going to be around. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Then you consume it all and then it's gone. Shortages occur even during times when there is no crisis. Yeah, very interesting. Well, I wonder if I don't think I can make a trade here anymore. It's 8:41. I guess I missed my chance. I should have taken something off of the news, but it's okay. I think maybe that was for the best because I really did not see today as a sell coming in. I'm not quite sure I see, other than that it moved down, But when did it start moving down? Here at this 200. So like at 18. How would I have known that it was going to go lower? Well, the news pushed it lower. Okay. Then here, how would I know that it would go lower? I don't think there was any way to know. I was waiting for it to come back and then possibly buy it. And it just came back too fast. Mm-hmm. Okay, more comments. This is I find this conversation and the things that Uzi are saying so interesting. Um, that one day we'll all be crypto millionaire by just hodling. Yeah, well, so Jay Constant, I've wondered if we ever move into a society where the majority of wealth comes from fixed income. Like, I think that that would be great if we more people invested and that a lot of people's wealth did come from the stock market. Then isn't it kind of funny? It's almost like hyper capitalism turns into socialism at a certain point. Isn't it? Is it kind of funny, right? I don't know if that's actually possible, but it sure would be nice. Okay, Uzi. I've seen employees quit their jobs over flat tires. Most people have no clue what they're babbling about when they victimize the working poor. Well, I mean, I don't know. Let's not try and generalize people too much, right? I think my thing is that I think that the way that most people behave, it's not like I think that we get caught into this feeling like so this is another thing is humans are very very tribal, and so we have this tendency to think bad things about the other group. Like, syphilis has a bunch of different, this was on Reddit the other day, syphilis has a bunch of different names, and it was called the German disease and the Spanish disease, and the Turks called it the Christian disease, right? Because they blamed the disease on that it was that other group of people that we don't like that is responsible for the disease, and then we catch it, right? That's kind of built into us. And so we tend to think, well, the poor act the way that they do because they're lesser. They don't understand, and they are dumb, and they're poor because they are dumb and they make bad choices and all of this and that. But I don't think that that's the right way to look at it. And when I say that's not the right way to look at it, I mean, like, it's not a useful for us and to make not only make the world a better place, but for us interacting with other people. I don't think it's a useful way to look at it. I think it's better to look at it and say people have tendencies, and one of the tendencies is that when you don't have a whole lot, you want to consume. And so there are a lot of people that maybe they're rich, and if you took everything away from them and you put them on the street, some people definitely are smart and they would be able to work their way out of it, and they have the habits built into it. But some of those people, they've been spoon fed and they never had to exercise self-control in their life, and they would act just like most of the working poor does. Why? Because that's the default human tendency. You know what I mean? It's the default human tendency. Jay Constant, I am lower class, unfortunately, but not for long. I just came from the gutter as an alcoholic and pie, and now I live economically, eat canned tuna every day, get ripped, and grow my fortune slowly. Yeah. It's got to be like, you don't spend money on anything unless it's necessary. I mean, I won't say everyone is like that, but I can tell you what, when you've employed hundreds of people for the last 7 years, it's a pretty damn decent sample size. Oh yeah. I'm telling you. I'm just saying there's definitely merit to the argument that poverty can in fact be a mindset. 100%. No, it is. It is totally a mindset. It's totally a mindset. Totally. Totally. It's just that mindset, I think, is innate in our nature. It's not that we're dumb or anything like. Well, I mean, I guess it is kind of because we're dumb, but the rich mindset is not natural, generally speaking. And that's where you get these people like Scrooge. They have all of the money in the world, and they are afraid of even spending a dime on it. It's the same mental fallacy, or sorry, it's the same mental bias flipped on its head the other way. You know, you became successful by being frugal. So then when you don't need to be frugal, you still keep doing it even though you don't need to. Which is not a good thing. Like listen, if you're rich, if you make money, okay, um, I think the first thing is that you want to own things, right? Like your goal should be pay off the house, invest, build up your retirement, like get assets so that you can own things and be able to pass those owning things on to your children, because owning things is what gives you freedom, really. You consume something, that's consuming is slaving, is enslavement. Owning is empowerment, right? You want to own things. But once you own things, you've got to spend, man. Because that's what drives the economy, is people buying things and participating in the economy. Find things that you like, find people that you think are doing a good job and are making a good product, and buy it from them. Totally. What's this? Okay. Man, you guys have been made a ton of comments. I got like 2 more minutes, so I'm going to respond to this last set of comments, and then we're going to have to go. I doubled my money in crypto and took profits. Good for you, sir. And you did take it off earlier this week, right? So I think you're probably pretty happy this morning, aren't you? The number one way to get rich is to avoid debt. After that, invest in assets. 100%. Yep, exactly. Okay, so where was it? There's examples in the other direction too. My wife has one chick who works for her who was legit homeless for most of her young life. Shit was so bad for her. She had kids super young, right? Her boyfriend was picked up in a multi-county car chase after robbing someone. Shit's been bad for her. She's working for my wife for nearly 8 years and is looking to buy a house next year. Wow. That's great. Yeah, I must confess, I hope Bitcoin will fail hard first so I can buy back low. I'm telling you what, when it's done this in the past in Bitcoin, I sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like people are losing so much money. It's so sad. And I wish that people weren't like this. But now I look at it, and we've done this before. I'm not going to flip off the camera this time, but you know what? If you bought into there, whoever it is that's been pumping this up probably is going to get what's coming to them sooner or later. And I say they deserve it. And I've said everything that I can. People come in and they don't believe me that it's going to go down. And that's fine. I have the historical probability on my side. That doesn't mean that I'll be right, but I feel pretty confident in it. And if you don't listen to me, that's your own damn fault. And I'm just going to laugh. When dump. I love it. Well, I think that it may have started, but I think that the thing I've noticed in Bitcoin is that you tend to get this other. So this is another cognitive bias that we tend to have, is we tend to hope when things are going poorly. We tend to turn to hope. That's why you really got to set a stop, because you'll sit there and you'll say, okay, yeah, but maybe the buying will, I know that the trend is against me right now, but maybe the buying will come in and save me, and then my original trade will still be there and it'll work out for me. And we do that all the time. And cryptocurrencies appears to be extremely, extremely susceptible to this. It will sit there on a level forever before somebody finally decides, okay, you know what, this isn't going, and sells and triggers the fall. It's like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it takes it a little bit of time to happen. But once it actually gets fully triggered. And the problem is that right now people still have a reason to hope. People still think, this is the pullback and I can buy it. And so that's why I think that this time period could take a little bit of time. But once they finally get their hopes dashed, it's going to be very ugly and it's going to go down very, very quickly. But when will it go down after it hit 15K? Or right now, no one knows. No. Well, I mean, my indicator does give you a pretty good chance of time frame. Like once we get over 150, you've got like a month left, and the higher it gets, the sooner it's going to happen, Yep. Once everyone FOMOs, boom, massive dump. Exactly. And especially if this is based on fraud, well, like I always say, you got to know who you're trading against. And if you're trading against fraudsters, that should concern you. Okay, well, great week. The win streak continues. I took 2 trades. One was on Sim. It was an okay trade though. And I took the other one on the micro futures and I made $20. And I thought that was a really great trade. I'm really happy with how that one worked. And my plan worked perfectly. I wish that I would have turned around and bought it, but like I said, it's Friday and I don't really understand what's going on. There's just no way that I could have seen that. And I stayed out for the rest of the time. It's okay. And we had some great conversation. So I recorded everything today. So I'm going to try and make like a, what do we call this? A highlights reel. But I guess most of the highlights will just be from today. But maybe we can pull some of that stuff out. I thought that would be great. What time frame did you accomplish that? 20 years. Yeah, Shalom is an old folk, apparently. He's an old guy. 90% of traders lose and only 1% will time the bottom. Well, 90% of traders give up. All right, I gotta end because that's just gonna start me on another tangent. You guys, don't. I was like, if I just say the right thing, he's gonna keep it here and we can keep this going. I appreciate it, guys. I hope you guys had a good week. I will see you guys next week. And of course, I should have a political video out on Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friend.